so much.
Well, what can I say? I'm a popular guy. Okay, so we're just gonna hope that these mics are working. If not, I'll talk at a relative volume the whole time. We'll never fucking know at this rate. I think we're all good. Okay, so this episode is gonna be something different. I am the interviewee.
Yep.
Been sent a load of questions, basically asked to do like a roundup of 2022. Well, suggested the idea. People were for the idea.
Yeah.
I wasn't people being like, please tell us more. But then obviously you guys sent in a ton of questions. I've sent them over to Rach. But basically recapping some of what the last year has been, because if you're relatively new to following, it's been pretty big growth.
Yes.
But eventful as well.
Bit of a year.
Bit of a fucking year.
Yeah.
For the people on the live, I apologize that Rach isn't in it at the same time, but we don't want to sit side by side because it gets warm.
Oh, I thought it's because we hate each other.
And because I hate you.
Don't touch me.
Such a loving relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I suppose I'll let you lead.
Sure. So I think before we get into the questions, bit of background. Where were you at the beginning of 2022? As in physically, mentally?
Where was I physically at?
Just a short summary.
You'd think I'd have taken the time to kind of check.
Mm.
You know what? Let's physically check. So I can check the dates, but like beginning of this year, so it was a bit more of a solo act. I think I'd taken Jamie on to work with me at the beginning of this year. Yeah, so Jamie came to work with DBD. We were very early days, so I think we're like 35 clients.
Yeah.
Quite small scale compared to where we're at now. I won't give too much context. Was quite split. So like there was time in Thrive, there was time with DBD, there was time with True Grit. And just like very early days. Yeah, we had the first meetups down at Thrive. So that's the sort of that's the end of the before. Jesus Christ. Yeah, really small scale. But kind of just finding my footing again. Because obviously DBD is the second time round.
Yes.
So it was in its infancy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just figuring out what it was going to be, what I was going to be. Because I think I had this, like, at the time, this image, okay, maybe it's just going to be 30 clients. And just that's all I'm going to do. Quite a bit of simple work, take the stress off, make life easy. Maybe putting more time into photography, I think was where I started the year.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of evolved into going like, well, into everything else.
So do you remember at the beginning of 2021, at the beginning of 2022, what your goals were? Did you have any goals?
I think
you dare to have any?
So there are bits within this that like, I know some of the questions lead into it, but like bits where I changed and was like, okay, you can have goals again. Because at the start of this year, no, I didn't have any. I didn't want much. I wasn't trying to achieve anything. I was just trying to do quite a bit of work and kind of be okay. I think my goal was to not be insane. I was mentally not. Oh, that's my own life. I wasn't mentally in the best place. I wasn't really expecting to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Kind of hoping it might gain some traction, but a little bit lost, I'd say.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to ruin the answer, but do you think much has changed since then? Has this year?
A fucking bit. So the problem is, like, I'm with goals and work, I'm bull in China shop. Like, if you you put the flag and go, right, go, I'll do some crazy shit. But if it's not there, I'll just docile as fuck. Like, that's where I was. Like, there was no oomph, there was no push, there was nothing I wanted. So I was just like, okay, give up, quiet, done. Yeah. This year, someone put a red flag in front of me and went, if you want to go, you can go. And it was like, okay, well, let's do some shit then. Like, let's fucking go.
I mean, these questions that we're going to cover are all really random. So there isn't going to be too much like of a logical structure to it.
Yeah, I figured it'll be a bit all over the place.
I am going to ask two questions that are kind of good roundup questions, but also maybe give a bit of context to the year. So what's the best personal decision that you made in 2022?
Best personal decision?
Yeah.
Oh, therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, it immediately made me feel a little bit that's not a word. I took on therapy. Oh Christ, I can't remember how long ago now. And it was very much like, okay, you need to get your fucking head in order if you're going to do a lot of this stuff, because I was crippled by it. Like, I was really struggling to like I say, to want anything or to be confident to try it and just not to be fucking scared. I was very, very scared, which is not my personality, but it's very much who I'd become. And so it was like, okay, like go to actually give it a fucking shot. I had fobbed it off because like anyone doesn't know. So for a while I was on suicide watch, and a while back, I'm okay. And then went to their therapy. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's some counseling
It was
thing.
like a emergency mental health care, and
I'm definitely using softer words. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it was an emergency mental health thing. And I was like, yeah, I want to kill myself. Soz, here's why. And they were like, yeah, no, fair enough. Like, that's a fair reason to want to kill yourself. I was like, you know that I'm going to leave here not better. Like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely leaving going, well, she said I probably should. And that wasn't very helpful, but she wasn't wrong. Like, she wasn't being malicious or being shit in any way. She's completely right.
No, I think she was just trying to be understanding of the severity of the situation, but without offering any real constructive help.
Yeah, it didn't really give me any other direction. So yeah, I'd done that, given up on therapy, and then the idea of doing therapy again, I was like, what's the fucking point? And then I met Hillary. I love Hillary. Hillary's my therapist.
Yeah.
And massively changed not just my perspective on therapy, but like it changed my mental well-being. I'm such a different person because of therapy, like reflecting and actually like seeing where I'm at and the things like the boundaries I want to set and the accountability for it and looking after myself. I look after myself now. That's fucking new.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely think that was the best personal decision that you made. And it kind of things that I knew, because I remember you'd considered it, but I definitely was like, do it. Like you need it. And because it did confirm things like PTSD.
Yeah.
And I think it was around that time where we'd have to see certain people, or we just expose ourselves to things and people that were really traumatic for you.
Yeah, I think so I wasn't very good at validating how much trauma I had been through.
Yeah.
I didn't like using those words because absolute shit fucks on the internet didn't like me using those words. So when I was like, hey, I'm pretty fucked for this, they were like, yeah, you should kill yourself. So thanks to those guys.
Yeah.
And so I kind of put it under the rug a bit. And then it was like, okay, I'll go to therapy. And then I spoke to her about here's what I dealt with, here's what happened to my life, here's why I struggle with my well-being, why I struggle with blah blah blah. And she was like, yeah, no, that's trauma, like severe trauma. You have PTSD and you have severe anxiety because of it. And I was like, oh well, suppose I should stop taking the piss about myself a little bit. The trolls won't change, but I changed my opinion a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just helped to validate it, so I would take it seriously and kind of give it grounding. And also because I was gonna, so again, for people who don't know, this is gonna be a very transparent podcast because it's my fucking podcast. But like I was gonna have to go to these competitions. So the absolute shit fucks who for some reason are still in this fucking industry and haven't been arrested for either abuse, tax evasion, the shit they've done to their clients.
Sexual assault.
Yeah, sexual assault, that'd be a good one. She's still doing fucking well and is prevalent and has supporters. So I was gonna have to see that shit fuck who, like, I'm never gonna hurt that person, but I have to deal with seeing that.
Yeah.
And so that's a big fucking trigger. That's really hard to see someone who tore your life apart for a fucking lol and profited off the back of it and is still around and has no what's the word?
There's no consequence.
No consequence. So that's what therapy was for, being like, right, how do you deal with that? And funnily enough, I started therapy, and the next week I saw her.
Yeah.
I was like, well, fuck, don't need you anymore, mate.
So that's been May time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, like, so I wouldn't go as far as to say that I have PTSD, but certainly being such a close witness to it, even today in the gym, I saw a certain person who had like reddish hair and an undercut, and you could probably safely assume their sexuality. And I literally couldn't stop looking over at them because I was like,
it's not her, is it?
Yeah. Is it them? Is it them? And it was really weird.
And it's weird because it just creates that fear and anxiety for no real reason. Like there's nothing happening. But yeah, either way. So
anyway,
therapy was really fucking helpful.
Yeah, and I agree. Being probably the closest person to you.
Probably.
Better be the fucking closest.
I was gonna say probably. Probably.
I don't know.
We're just together 24/7.
Oh no, Sam likes getting pretty close.
Bitch loves to cuddle.
So not necessarily just personal, but was there a defining moment in 2022 where you kind of knew things were on the right track or that things would be okay?
IFS.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know why. Like, so going to so anyone doesn't know, I got invited to the International Fitness Summit, which I was like, it's gonna be some trashy fucking PTs, whatever. But it's
Influencers.
the fucking morons of the industry. But I was invited, so I was like, well, it's a trip to fucking Portugal. Let's go. Thought it'd be shit, thought I'd bail out. And it really hit me. And it didn't just hit me because like they said something specific. They said a lot of really good stuff. Like huge props to the guys who ran it. But it just reminded me like, oh fuck, I could do some crazy shit. Like there was a couple of speakers where I was like, I could do that. I could fucking do that talk. And then there were people who were successful, and I was like, fuck, I could do what you're doing. What am I doing? Holding myself back?
Yeah.
And then it was like I am a passionate guy, but I've been a bit dead, like across the board. Like I wasn't passionate in life. I was really just struggling to, like I say, to be excited for things. And it just fucking blew me out the water. I was like, oh God, I could be successful on such a big scale. I could help so many more people. I could do this. I could be creative. And it was like all of a sudden it changed, like literally like a fucking light switch. And then I was like, right, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do monstrous amounts of things. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna evolve some stuff. I'm gonna like just fucking work to do something unique. And I haven't stopped since.
Yeah. I think definitely it was a case of looking at those people and going, they haven't got anything that I don't have.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember we went to one particular talk, and I'll keep it really vague. But I went to it and I was like, oh, they should have got you to do this, because it was trash.
Oh, I don't mind not being
one...
vague. Yeah, there's the one that was run by Sonny Webster and the other guy. And he was talking about how to, I don't like that. I have no shame. He was teaching how to deadlift. And it's fucking shit.
It just seemed really unprepared. And I was expecting more of a practical help around how to like program for strength.
We'll put it simply, if you walked away from that seminar and you learned something, you shouldn't have been at the talk.
Absolutely.
Like if that was what you learned from, you were fucking shit when you arrived. But there was nothing of quality. And I was like, I could genuinely deliver stuff that would be much more helpful. And there's great guys in the UK, don't get me wrong, but I'm willing to say, yeah, and I'm one of them. Yep. And so I can do some shit. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just saying like I'm up there to help.
Yeah. I think that covers what impact did IFS have on you?
Yeah.
So next
open
question.
some doors.
How much taller are you now than you were in 2021?
I'm shorter. Definitely shorter. I'm definitely just more. I think the weight, because I've gotten stronger, and the weight of stress and the fact that I'm sat at my desk all day, I reckon I'm a half-inch shorter.
Really?
Yeah. There are moments where I'm like, I feel like a littler man. I feel more Frodo than Samwise these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of Gollum every now and again.
Every now. Your training highlight of 2022.
My training highlight.
Yeah, your personal training highlight.
The last 12 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, hit or miss, because there's been like difficulties. So I'm now coached, and I was coached before that. And that was my low light of training for the entire year.
That was bad.
That was I'm going to quit powerlifting.
Yeah.
Hashtag Flex Training Systems. Thank you so much for the support. Oh, you really didn't think I was going to name people today? NDA.
As just an onlooker though, that was a really bad service.
It was awful. I absolutely wouldn't recommend it, and I don't feel bad saying that, because I did bring it up to the coaches and was ignored. So tough. But now being with a coach who I like the programming a lot. I like the programming.
Programming's good.
The programming is great. Anyway, so I would say that's probably my, like, just having some trust. I really trust my coach. I think he's programs how I would program. I switch off and just focus on what he says. And that's the best I felt about training in a long time. This is my third ever coach. So that was a big deal.
Yeah. I think the fact that you trust the programming and you actually stick to it, because I know one of the issues that you were having when you were self-coached is that you didn't make decisions the same way that you would with a client.
No.
Second guess everything. If you had one bad session, you'd be like, am I doing the wrong thing? Maybe I should change it.
It's so weird that, like, so when it's programming for you, so I could go, right, you're doing this now. Here's how your block could roughly end, but here's how the next 2 blocks go. And if you want to pull 200, I only need you to double 175. I don't need to pull more than that. But I go, oh, if I want to pull 200, I need to pull 195 for 2. It's fucking stupid. I know it's not true, but I can't self-coach. I'm just not good at it. And I'm very aware of that.
Powerlifters to watch out for in 2023. Got your eyes on anyone who you think's gonna
can I just go in DBD or in general? I'll do both. Because I will say, so if you're watching this, first of all, what are you doing? Go do something better with your time. Fucking hell, losers. is if you're watching BP, you're watching the wrong guys. I'm not saying they're wrong because they're in the BP. I'm saying because you follow the fucking clout. So there are some sick lifters, don't get me wrong, and they're really, really good, and they'll be gone in a year. Is how they look genuinely. Like it happens fucking year after year. So you're missing the people who are like steady progressors. So ones to watch out for. Like I would go people like Amelia.
Oh yeah.
She's 1 year in,
Yeah.
but she's fucking hustles. Like she will consistently work. And I genuinely like we're gonna have her on the podcast and have a chat because she's a whole different ball game. So Amelia, she's fucking
What's her
young.
surname?
I've forgotten her surname.
Uh,
She's my fucking client. That's
yeah.
pathetic. Mm,
Amelia. Amelia with an E. Go look for her on the DBD page.
yeah,
She's
I actually can't
she's
remember how,
phenomenal.
but she's great. I genuinely would be interested what your next year is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not being like this is coachy voice. You can already tell I'm being coachy voice with you, but your work ethic is up like second to none. And you're coached 1-to-1 every single session, and your progress has not stalled by any means. So I think you'd be a really good one. I think Lizzie's now going to step up.
Yeah.
I would say, like Lizzie,
Been
if
a
you're
bit
watching
lazy
this,
before.
been a bit lazy, overshot too much, but seeing a bit more athlete mindset. She has a fucking high ceiling. So how she is over the next couple of months will kind of determine where she goes. Some traction with Alice be really interesting, but we're talking big, like big scale. So, who are the big ones right now? I mean, I'd say Beck is probably a little understated.
Yeah.
Um,
Strong man.
yeah, and now that I'm doing some of his programming, I think it'd be better. If he listens to that, he's gonna be like, "Fuck you." See, so this is what I mean. Like, so people would go like, "Okay, well, the top people, Erho Love, huge one that people are loving." But I watched her not perform at competition. Becca's just joined. How funny is that? I watched her not perform at her last meet, and I think her numbers, not her numbers, her programming and training isn't on point. The injuries are too repetitive. I think she'll get blown out and she'll disappear. That's not
Yeah.
because I want her to by any means. I'd love to see her do well. I just don't
No,
think she's going there.
she could do much better under the guidance of the right person.
She's more restricted. Genuinely, I think if she was more held back. So take Frankie as a good example.
Oh yeah.
Like Frankie is in the pocket. He's got fucking terrible work ethic right now. If you listen to this, mate, get your shit together. Because he could be phenomenal, but
Yes.
his progress is up like 50 kilos on his deadlift from very submaximal work, keeping him healthy.
Yeah.
She's up 50 kilos on a deadlift and she gets fucking hurt. And I
Yeah.
really would worry she'd disappear. So as an example, so there's some really, really good lifters around who I think could go a really long way, but don't look at the people who just jump in 1 year because they just get fucking hurt and disappear. And they're usually in bad hands. So I don't really know.
Okay.
Me, watch out for me.
Who on the scene has surpassed your expectations this year? Again, it can be the DBD because obviously you're
Jessica Bittner.
familiar with all the
That 261 deadlift.
That was
Highlight of the
phenomenal.
year. Like, oh my God. Like she's one of my favorite people in the sport. Bobby Butters surpasses my expectation. Only like what a fucking arrogant comment to make. But because she never seems to not make progress. And she is in fucking inverted commas, whatever. What am I saying? She basically, in quotation marks, is old for powerlifting. Like she's been at the
around for
game a long time,
Yeah.
and she's still making progress.
Yeah.
Like fucking consistent. I think she's coached by her boyfriend, and she's doing really well. So she's pretty cool for it.
See that deadlift from Jessica Bittner. I now affectionately refer to her as that bitch.
That bitch.
That bitch, because she's my weight class, and that's a fucking hefty deadlift.
Honestly, she's obscene, and she's been around for a little while now. She's still early days. Performances. So USAPL comps. I've forgotten what his name is, but Thingy Bob. He was unfucking real. His next year will be ridiculous.
Thingy Bob.
I can't remember his name. It's like SS Bob or something on Instagram. Different league. But then, yeah, there's loads in the USAPL that are more interesting than anyone in the BP.
Yeah.
Sorry, the IPF. The IPF feels pretty stagnant right now for me. Like people are gonna be like, oh, but what about this guy? He's so underrated. He's been at it a year. I genuinely don't care. If you've only trained for a year, you're not an interesting powerlifter yet.
Yeah, I mean, my life with powerlifting is obviously fairly short, but I've even seen in the small amount of time I've been at that people pop up and disappear quite quickly for various reasons. Whether that's because they get hurt, they lose interest, the feds don't look after them, so they just get bored, move on to something else, or whether it's because they've had a bad experience in the community. Like people come and go all the time, and I can never keep up with anyone. What did you do this year that you wouldn't have dreamed of in 2021?
What did we do this year that we wouldn't have dreamed of in 2021? Surpassed 130 people in DVD.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
No.
Like 2021, like we were saying, I didn't expect a lot. So all of a sudden to be there, I'm like, okay, well, this is new. Didn't expect to be handling Thrive and DVD at this scale. This many clients, this many coaches. There's a lot of it that's like, it's bigger than I was expected.
Yeah.
Pretty happy about that though.
What about sponsoring a Worlds event?
Definitely didn't think I'd do that. Definitely wouldn't do that again. Yeah, sponsored the Worlds for the BDFPA.
I remember when because I helped you put together the proposal, and you were like, they're not going to let me. I won't, like, it won't.
There's not a chance, yeah, because
Yeah.
they've never done it in their history before.
And you did, and you followed through.
Yeah.
And those that got the experience that was intended, and not
Hashtag live stream gate.
not interrupted by certain people within the federation making really dumb decisions on the day. It was phenomenal.
It went well.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely really proud of having done that one. It was, yeah, one that I doubted that I would do, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Any regrets?
I wasn't harsh enough with some boundaries.
Yeah.
Like I'm ending the year in a good place and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. But I think I let too much time go and I was a bit too generous with my own well-being. Like I was too generous with, like, even when I'm training, there's a good example. Or like overworking for things that had just splitting myself a bit too thin on some stuff or some people. I would say was probably a bit too much, was not necessarily a mistake, but a learning curve. I have very few this year. Very, very few. You know what? I do have one. I wasn't harsh enough with some people publicly. I don't know if I regret it because it was probably the right choice. But there's some shit I let slide or people I let get away with it who I'm like, you deserve some fucking backlash.
Yeah.
Some coaches and some federations where I'm like, there's some shit people should have seen. And I don't know if I regret not highlighting that, but it's one that I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had.
It's hard, isn't it? Because on the one hand, whether you're talking from a point of view of wanting some sort of justice or wanting some sort of transparency, the only way you can do that is by speaking out about it. But even though you are right and it is deserved, you are contributing to the same behaviors that people do when it's not right and it's not deserved. Like,
it's
and
hard.
No one knows the difference.
The problem is choosing if you're going to be that person or not. Like, do I have to be the person that brings light to it, or can I trust that other people will do it because I really don't want to fucking be there? But that was that whole thing, like silence in the face of injustice is not cooperation. It's like
it's the quote about, like, when you choose to remain silent in the, like, when there's oppression, then you have chosen the side of the oppressor.
And that's a quote in very significant means it applies. Anyway,
what or which federation are you competing in?
So the DVD Fed.
Yeah.
I'm competing.
Fed, guys.
This is the hashtag release. I'm competing in my own competition.
Yeah.
And then it depends.
How's that gonna work? Competing in your own competition.
That's one of the questions, right? I'm letting you run it.
Yeah.
Which is a big sign of trust. With some of my friends that are going to run most of the bits behind it. So I'll compete at that. But that's not a federation, it's unaffiliated. And then I'm going to see what happens with the USAPL. I don't want to compete in any federation that doesn't appreciate lifters. And so I will wait and see what they're like.
Yeah.
And then I might compete there.
I think it'll be really interesting because obviously there's only a few federations in the UK. Tested ones, there's literally 2.5.
There's 3.
2.5. So it would be really interesting to see what happens with USAPL, because it's definitely a federation that I would consider as well. Although they do have the highest qualifying totals
of any federation. But they also don't give a fuck if you put your feet on the bench when you sit up, because I also don't, and I still don't understand that rule.
And I think that actually it really will come down to how do they treat and how do they engage with those people who don't make those qualifying totals?
Because
in certain federations, you only get like attention, or you're only valued if you are in that top 1%.
Yeah, I literally. So it's the reason I don't care for other federations. One federation, because if you're not that 1%, you just don't matter.
Yeah.
And the other federation of there is no percentage that matters. There's not one of you they care about.
Yeah.
And so it's okay. Will this federation go? We care about across the league or the quality of what we run, at least something like that. That's kind of, yeah, we'll see. So I also will honestly say, outside of doing this little comp for the DBD Open, I don't really care if I ever compete again.
Yeah.
The more I've
Do
done
you
it,
think
like
that might change depending on how you find
no, I'm
training?
strong. I don't need a competition to tell me either otherwise. If there's comp standard in training or if I miss it a bit on some, I'm not that fast. Like I don't I don't need a dick measuring competition. With do I do it on the platform against some of the guys that everyone think is clout, or do I do it in the gym on my own and not give a fuck? I don't really care. I won't do the bullshit that people do where they're like unofficially would have won at this competition. No, you didn't fucking show up. You didn't win. Shut the fuck up. But I will be like, cool, I'm like at that standard. I'm not saying I can do it on the platform because I wouldn't have done it.
I've definitely done that though, where I've been at a competition. I was like, so if I was here, I probably would have had the biggest deadlift of the day. I've done that.
And you shouldn't.
I am a newbie. I get excited. Best trip of 2022.
Iceland.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking amazing. Just exploring. Not
Yeah.
westernized, none of that bullshit, except for Reykjavik was trash. But the actual like landscape and exploring the country was genuinely stunning. I loved it.
What gets second place?
Finland.
Yeah.
Just got back from Finland and that was obscenely beautiful. So much fun. It's just really gorgeous. Such a unique experience.
Very, very cold.
Yeah, -17.
-18.
Was it good? Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's a minute difference.
-8.
Fucking hell. Well, yeah, I'd say it was a close toss up between the two, but I enjoyed the day to day of Iceland. I think there was big gaps for Finland.
I think Iceland
It was
was
brighter.
so
It had sunlight.
yes. Oh yeah, we had the complete opposite. When we were in Iceland, we had where it only had a couple of hours of dark.
Mm.
Finland was only a couple of hours of light.
Yeah, and I definitely preferred the couple of hours of dark, and you can just black out the curtains rather than every hour of the day being like it's midnight.
Is it time
At like 3 o'clock.
How did you carry on when your mind felt like it wanted to explode and just want to hide? Did you have those moments?
I was on suicide watch. I am not very capable of not doing things. ADHD is a gift. So even when I felt like I just wanted to hide in a hole and give up on life, I was like, yeah, but you still like tomorrow's coming. You're gonna have to prepare for it. I think it was that feeling every day, being like, okay, you can want to give up, but like next year's gonna happen. Where are you gonna fucking be? And you can be as miserable as you fucking like, but it's coming. What are you gonna do about it? And so it's just kind of like I think I was calling it like I had momentum, but like coasting. So like a car running down the hill with no brakes and it out of gear. So I wasn't choosing it. I just had momentum and I was still working. But I think if I'd lost momentum, I'd have been fucked. Like I was just rolling with it. I was just moving and getting stuff done. So yeah, just taking it day by day and just working through. Don't care if I wanted to or not. Dedicated. Dedicated.
Dedicated. So two very similar questions side by side from two different people. How much has DBD grown this past year / how many clients did you start with and end with? So because obviously you've got your own personal clients, but DBD there is a pool of clients between coaches.
So we started as a whole team of like 35. We've ended the year on about 135. There are now a mystery coach, a potential other mystery coach. There is Beck, who now works with me, and then there's myself. So it's grown fucking massively in reach, in scale, in what we do. Anything between the media, the clothing, to the coaching work, to the development of the services that we offer. It's changed quite a lot. It's grown a lot. And then the scale of people that we work with has grown massively as well.
How do you think you've managed to maintain the level of service from 35 to 135? Because I would say, if anything, it's actually improved.
Relentless work ethic.
Yeah.
No boundaries. The thing is, like, so the general contact with clients is quite high, But if you think that when it's 35 people, it didn't take that much time in the day. So it took from, because I do 2 check-ins a week, that workload really isn't huge because it's divided by 2. So there's always a lot less to do on individual days. And then those 2 days have just become way more filled out and a little bit of the days before. So now that's actually like just more work, but it was into the empty slots.
Yeah.
So where my life was like, okay, I'm busy 60% of the time. Now I'm busy 80% of the time. I got 20% to work with. Fucking watch out. Like I still have a lot of free. I'm recording a podcast. Like I have more time. That's not to say that I wouldn't do the podcast, but yeah.
I think as well, obviously, no matter how many clients you've got, you're going to have some that love a really high rate of contact and some people just crack on a bit more.
There is, but I think too many coaches rely on finding that out. So whether like, oh, but like loads of my clients don't need loads of contact. If you don't have the space really for that guy that does need high contact and you don't know that till they've started, you don't have space.
Yeah.
Like people are like, I've got space for like a dead client. No, you don't have space. You need to have the capability to handle someone who takes a lot of time up.
So going into 2023, do you have any space?
Do I have space?
Yeah.
I have someone who has inquired for my last space, and he's messaged me while we've been on here, and my ADHD is kicking off me so hard for not replying. Like, it's really killing me. But he's my last space. And if he doesn't join on, I might close books anyway, just so I can like make sure I don't, like, I've got 5 starting Monday, and I just want to make sure that they get the best service possible. So yeah.
And us oldies.
And the oldies and the OGs, yeah. Like, well, that's what I mean. You guys already get a great service. It's just make sure the new guys that come on that they don't like that they didn't get too little.
The level of service that you give them in the beginning is maintainable. Yeah,
because right at the start as well, people need more. Like as soon as they've started on, they need a bit more attention, a bit because they're new to all of the systems. You're teaching them systems, not just actually coaching.
But also, isn't it pretty typical that coaches, they'll butter them up in the first few weeks and they'll like essentially love bombing them. Love that term.
Yeah.
Some of the toxic terms. Love bombing them, and then they just fuck off.
Yeah, so it's really common in coaching. Like that first week, the contact seems great. You get loads of replies. It's really detailed. But a month after that, when they've had you pay your second month, you can barely get a fucking reply.
Yeah.
Because I've had it even like looking at coaching services. Bear in mind, any coach in the UK, anyone listening to this, I've seen your programming and I know you're coaching. Like they're not a fucking weird threat or anything. It's just like, dude, it gets around. Like go. If you've got clients, people have shared your program to their next coach, and their next coach has probably shared it. Don't get me wrong, I never pass it on to anyone else. I probably chat to Rach about it. Sometimes I'll let Rach fucking look at this. This is what I've got to
coach.
And still shocked. Or someone who's like, yeah, no, I'm leaving my coach just because they didn't reply for the last 10 weeks. And I'm like, why were you still there? What the fuck? And that actually happens. I can't remember the question.
That's crazy. I can't remember either.
Next.
It doesn't matter. Were there any unintended consequences, either good or bad, from pursuing your goals?
No one likes success. No one likes you doing well, ever. Mm-hmm. Every time I've done something good, or every highlight, on my fucking birthday. Yeah. There's always someone, there's always something. And luckily it's less and less people. I talk about my life like a dropping a stone in a pond. Like my life was that pond, and those first fucking waves and ripples were pretty significant. People really want to see me not do well. And every now and again, one of them chirps the fuck up and then they shut the fuck up. But there's the world of fitness is really strange, that people want to see you do well when you don't do well. And when you do well, no one wants to see it. Like they are there for the climb. They are not there to see you succeeding. They're like, oh yeah, no, because you're actually worse than me. I want to see you do well. Then they do better. And you're like, well, you could shut the fuck up. Actually, you're just really arrogant. I hear that shit where I'm like, look at what we did. Oh, you're arrogant. No, but I did it. Like, I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm saying I did it. Like it actually fucking happened. Yeah. So yeah, like the unintentional negative has been bite back. Or to take one of the best things I want to do, I put with you thousands of pounds in sponsoring a world event. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure athletes have the most incredible experience. I'm going to put thousands in. I'm not getting shit back. Like it was always a bad investment. It was, and I was aware of that. It was like, maybe it was good for the media. I've got some photos from it, but it cost a fucking dollar.
It did.
And what was the outcome? The outcome was some lifters were like, "Oh my God, you're amazing." And then I had to deal with the federation being fucking shit and not giving a fuck about the lifters and then blaming me and pretending it had anything to do with me.
Yeah.
Out of my control. I can't be stressed about it every day. Not fucking happy about it, but that was an unintentional negative. The positive being, here's thousands of pounds, here's an event, here's your training team, here's everything. Sorry, your spotting and loading team, here's everything for a good comp, and you still fuck it up and blame me. So sometimes even in the best things that I've done, there's still some sort of weird negative that comes of it, but I'd do it again anyway.
Yeah. Any predictions for 2023, general or DVD?
Oh.
General, that could be anything.
I like general. Massive shift in media. So every TikTok's going to change, Instagram's going to change because short form media is dying faster. So it all blew up because people wanted quick stimulus over and over, and we've had it for a year and we're bored. We're bored of the quick feeds. We are even faster getting through. Nothing's grabbing us anymore. So I think there's going to be a bit more about interaction. This like Be Real obviously blew up a bit, and now Instagram and TikTok have incorporated it because they want reality again. There's been too much non-reality, and this happens in cycles with social media over and over again. So I think that's the next thing, is like trying to push a bit more interaction and realism. People like me will do really well at that because we didn't fall well into the quick hype edits and shit. I couldn't do it. I didn't give a fuck. We do this shit instead. Podcasts are doing well. That medium's doing better. AR, not VR, is going to do bits. Not excuse me, not till the end, I reckon, of 2023. Yeah, so virtual reality being the like submerging yourself into a false reality. Augmented reality is submerging like the virtual side of things into your reality. So like glasses on and seeing things layered over reality. That sort of stuff will be much bigger, and I think there'll be a shift. That fitness will be very late too. I don't think we know how to use that sort of stuff yet. But I think that stuff in general within powerlifting, I think it's going to be a bad year for some federations. And a really good year for some, but I think it's not going to be as good as it should be. This first year, I don't think it'll be that great. I think some federations are going to have some bite back for some shit, but I think there's also going to be a shift of like younger people moving into the federation, like behind the scenes to do some stuff.
People running it.
Yeah, because you've got like some literal dinosaurs running bits of the federation that just shouldn't be there. Yeah. I think we'll do some crazy shit. I don't even want to give away some stuff I want to do, but like it'll be like, so last year I self-titled The Return after the song The Returns. The year before was Paid My Dues and like trying to fucking survive. And this coming year, like I'm mixed on what I want the title to be, but it's basically like just fucking kill everything. Wasn't it the Pursuit is what I've called it on my thing. But like I don't think people understand what that word means to me, because pursuit is not like, oh, we're just chasing after it. I'm like, no, it's like it's hunting it the fuck down. Like it's the like, you know, that last bit. Like I don't want it to be like, imagine you're trying to like you're playing hide and seek, silly shit, right? So you're trying to find someone in an entire fucking estate. This is the you're in the fucking room, they're there, like trying to figure out where someone is. Like I want it to be the so far out of what people expect, so far ahead of the rest of the game, and like pushing the fucking standard, being like, if you're a powerlifter in this country, you'll know my fucking name. I don't care if you like me, but you'll know my name. You'll know DBD, and it will change the standard across the fucking country. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be an obscenity of what's possible. And money where my mouth is. Like it's going to be hella investment.
So what is the vision for DVD in 5 years' time? Do you think you'll still be coaching in 5 years?
Unquestionably, but not that many people.
No.
Like I'm not saying it because it's the monetary value is the importance, but like it will cost more to work with me just because I'm not going to work with many people. But I will be teaching coaches to coach. I'll be working more behind the scenes of building powerlifting. I want to build the people to build the sport. I've spent ages trying to build the community myself.
So no longer be the person, there will be a team of people.
Oh yeah, if there aren't 10 people front of house for DVD and 20 people behind working with DVD, then I'm not where I want to be. But like it will be big. Yeah, like you remember I told you there's a line in a Rob Bailey song. So I was like, okay, I want to I'm about to turn 30. which for me is really exciting. Like I'm really excited to turn 30 because it feels like a start again. I'm like the new year, new me shit. I love that. Like I'm actually all for it. So turning 30, and there's a line in a Rob Bailey song, and I was always like, that's fucking ridiculous. You can't do that, which is 1 billion by the time I turn 35. I like the line, quietly think about the line. And it's not because like money is not the fucking goal, but it's usually an indicator of what the scale and reach has been. Like, you know me right now, I don't really fucking look at what I'm like, where it's at. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not after it. I'll just fucking put it into stuff. So I know the scale I want to be at. That aligns quite nicely. I want DBD to have an obscene reach, but not me. I want DBD to do it. I want there to be more people I've turned into good coaches. I want a qualification. I want a coach's course. I want an entire clothing line. I want 2 gyms, and I want a center.
Two.
And I want a center. Center TBC. I haven't told you a lot of this.
No.
I don't really talk about the stuff that I want to do.
No.
Just fucking do it.
I mean, I think the only comment I have to make about all of that is you and I feel very differently about turning 30.
Oh God, yeah.
Very differently.
I think for some reason, like that's common in women and men though. Like for women, it seems it has a bigger marker for all the things it changes.
Yeah, and all the fucking shit of like, when are you gonna have kids? Or
I've had that for 5 years.
No, but like you can continue having kids until you're like.
You know why 30 doesn't bother me? Because I didn't think I'd make it. And not the fucking bullshit where people are like, and that's not downplaying, but not just that I didn't think I'd make it because I didn't imagine it. I did. I very nearly didn't make it here. Like it's not like no bullshit. I genuinely nearly didn't make it to this age. So if I hit 30, I'm like, you fucking lived through it. You survived this shit. Now I get to do something cool because this is free time. Like this is time I almost didn't have.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting. Not dead yet.
I think there was a similar question earlier, but you certainly didn't give the same answer as this question will require. Your favorite lifting moment of your own from the last year? Yeah.
None.
None?
I haven't really liked my training this year. Like which one? I remember that 280 and I bitched about it. I was angry about the video. I was angry about how it looked. And it wasn't the max I was after. I wasn't happy with that.
What about how easily 135 moved?
135. 235 on the squat,
Sorry,
you mean?
235.
Fucking hell, my squats have gone backwards, isn't it? Yeah, the 235 squat, that was kind of sick, but I'm not really that happy with the depth. I'm not that happy with my lifting. I think I'm a better standard, and I was pretty disappointed by it. My favorite lifting moment was your 180 deadlift.
We're not talking about.
Yeah, but like that by comparison, I ain't got anything to step by that. Like I might be stronger, but it doesn't have the same power anymore.
Okay. Next question. Did you do anything differently in 2022? I guess it's similar to like other.
Any regrets? No, not really. Not really a regrets guy. Not anymore.
How angry is Callum? Is he angrier than me?
Who asked that?
Sam.
Yeah, I'm probably angrier.
Yeah.
But I'm quietly angry. Like if I don't lose my temper, not very often.
No.
I think in this year I've probably lost it 3 times. I don't think I've really lost it. I think I've cracked. I don't think I've snapped properly at all. I used to be a quite aggressive person when I was younger. Definitely calmed down a bit now.
Yeah.
I don't think I've lost my temper this year. So no, Sam's probably angrier. Get your shit together, Sam. Stop being so angry.
Someone has asked, can you speak about your darkest moments and what you got out of them?
What I got out of them? Can I speak about my darkest moments? Yeah, so we did. I tried to kill myself in 2021. 21?
Yeah.
Out on that dock. Took some hella drugs. Wasn't okay. Comp legal drugs.
Legal drugs.
Legal drugs. Yeah, I didn't take any illegal drugs. I took a lot of legal drugs.
Stuff you can get over the counter.
I was not well. You were with me. I was not with me when I tried.
No,
with me when I came home.
I remember that as being like one of the first times that you went out for a walk on your own, and me being like, I don't know if I should let him, but also I don't want to patronize him.
Yeah, I hadn't been allowed on my own for a little while. So that wasn't dark for me. That was a very freeing day. That was very much like, oh, okay, now I'm done. The dark day for me was that drive. which makes me want to cry when I think about it.
That was 2021 though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they just said darkest moments, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was so I was mid being fucked. I was not okay. And Rachel's friend invited her out for her birthday
Yeah.
in Manchester. And I
Yeah.
was like, absolutely, you should go. I'm bored of being a burden. And you were also very much like, yeah, but you can't be left alone. And
Oh,
not
yeah.
non more on side of me was like, yeah, you know, you're right.
There was absolutely no way that I could leave you.
So instead we went up north. We were gonna go. You were gonna leave me with James, my best mate at the time, probably only mate left at that point anyway. And you were gonna go for the night out. And that morning, something else happened. I know exactly what it is. But it wasn't that was the problem. I was just that moment. I'll never explain this right. I can only explain it as like my heart broke and my soul left my body, and I was like, I explained it in therapy as like I've just died. Like that was it. I died in that moment, and I didn't want to come back. I was just like, I'm done. I had no energy. I had no heart. I had nothing about me left, and we had to go up north. So I was sat in the bed in silence. And I was like, I can't talk. I didn't say that. I physically couldn't talk. I couldn't move. And you were struggling with that, I remember. And I remember seeing you struggle and being like, I don't have it in me to care. Like I am so gone. It's not that I didn't cash. I couldn't do anything.
Literally couldn't. I remember. So this is when we were living at Ruth's. Well, I was living at Ruth's and you were staying with me. And Ruth had just recently got home from traveling. And I remember you woke up that morning, and I think, like you said, like your heart was just completely broken in a way that I don't think anyone can comprehend. And you physically couldn't speak. I remember you would like try, and you just, like, you couldn't speak. And I was like, I remember going downstairs and crying to Ruth, being like, I don't know what to do. But we knew that because Ruth and I had been invited to Danielle's birthday, and we didn't want to let her down because she was expecting us. So yeah, so I remember I'd spoken to James like the day before or something and said, like, is there any chance like you can look after him? Which sounds so silly. Can you look after him?
Gonna drop the kids off.
Yeah. And just trying to get you dressed.
Try to get me dressed. Try to get me down the stairs, and then in the car.
Physically carry you. And that whole journey, bearing in mind it's like a 6.5 hour drive it took us to get to James's. You didn't speak a word.
No, I remember like I was aware every second, but I was very, very broken. I was very not conscious. I wasn't present. And it wasn't like time was passing quickly. Like I just felt like I was dying every second of that drive. And then I think we were like an hour out, and then I kind of went, so how are you two? And I remember you being like, oh, what the fuck? Because humor is my only defense. Normally, the more jokes I'm telling, be more and more worried. Like I'm pretty fucked. Especially if I start like smiling and laughing, being like, oh, he's gonna die. Yeah, so that was easily my worst moment. And every time I think about it, it makes me very emotional because it was
me too.
harrowing.
I really didn't want to go out. But again, like we'd arranged an Airbnb for Daniel's birthday. Love you, Dan. If you're listening.
For anyone who might listen to this, by the way, and be like, you left him? I forced her. Like, I cannot begin to explain why I was like, you're fucking going.
James is the only person I would have trusted to leave you with.
He didn't do a great job. He did a bad job that night. He definitely triggered me. Fucking lemon. I love that man. Anyway, enough of that question.
Did you get anything out of them?
I learned that I can break. Like my limits are there's very little unique about me, in my opinion. But I have work ethic and I have grit. I have those two things above anything else. And I have like a degree of compassion where I'm like, I will fucking help anyone. And if you're on the right side of me, I will fight and kill for you and I'll make sure you're safe. But I found through my worst bits what extent my grit was. I'm very, very proud of the grit I have. I hope not to have to use it and survive on it again. But it's the only reason I'm still here.
Best and worst financial decisions of the year. Whether that's an investment, a purchase.
The world's one is like a very messy one, but it wasn't a good or a bad decision. It's just one that needed to be made. That one of the best financial decisions. When I worked with Lawrence, to have him come and shoot,
Yeah.
because if you've ever hired a photographer or a videographer, it is expensive, as it fucking should be. It's a skill set, but it's money I don't like spending. I hate spending money.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But working with, like, shout out to Lawrence, Slater Visuals, and Greg Selby, great thing to have done.
Yeah.
Opened up my eyes to a lot of opportunity. So that was probably my best one. Don't have a worst one.
Quite a few of the questions are fairly similar. What challenges do you anticipate in 2023, personal and professional?
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries will be hard because I'm like not giving too much of myself out. And I would say I'll also probably encounter some problems, like still some of the same issues that I've had over the last couple of years, not to the same extent.
People just piping up to try and make sure you don't achieve things that you're absolutely going to achieve anyway.
They can fucking try.
Yeah.
But they will try. And I'm okay with that.
We're kind of used to it now.
I'm at peace with it, where I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, no, cool. Does it fucking suck that you're still losing this fight?
Yeah, and that by tomorrow we've all moved on. I can't remember if I asked you this. Was there a defining moment in 2022 where you knew everything was going to be okay?
I've never thought everything was going to be okay.
Okay, where you knew things were on the right track. I think I've
IFS. No, we said about the impact of IFS. IFS had a very big impact on me. Worlds was very much like, wow, I'm capable of a lot, but it wasn't very fulfilling.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's been like a defining moment outside of those. Because I'm still very much not like, oh, it's definitely coming because of a moment. It's because I work every single day. Like, it's not, no bullshit. I work every fucking day.
What were some of your favorite moments of the year?
Lizzie's win at Worlds, Alexia winning Best Lifter, your 180 deadlift, sponsoring World Championships, the first DBD competition, seeing everyone and being a bit emotional about that. Time with my family has been phenomenal this year. Trip to Iceland was probably a highlight. Moment with Sam around his competition, some of the conversations we've had, the support I've had from James Powell, Tom, and some of the meetings I've had with Molly, and finding out that they were pregnant.
Yay, because it's public now.
Did that quick.
We can talk about it.
So those.
Any particular goals that you haven't already mentioned for 2023?
Hashtag kill everything. Just relentless pursuit. Like, put some fucking money into it. Open a gym.
Yes.
Haven't mentioned it. Not going to say much more than that, but we'll open a gym.
Yes. Not a moment too soon. So one of the bigger questions a really important question, but before that, is there anything else that you want to put out there in the universe about this year as you reflect on 2022 and go into the new year?
No, but there's one thing I put in my post, actually, I'm really proud I did, just at the end, being like, told you. It's like just like when I said I'm gonna do this, I told you so.
Did it?
Yeah. I don't need to remind people. I'm like, I've actively had like enough fight back. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Said that after I came back from IFS, spoke to Helen and was like, I'm gonna do this now. And she was like, okay, but maybe we should like just talk about how I'm like, no, don't worry, I'll do it. Told you.
Nice. So ending on the most important question.
Mm-hmm.
When is the Booty by Barney program going to be released?
Just do your fucking squats.
Well, like
I've been asked for so long. You guys smell to your favorite quote. Oh wait, how have you got any more? Because I've got a couple. I've got one. Okay, so I have this last one. Your favorite quote that brings utmost motivation without fail. And I'm going to end with this. Okay. If you're happy with that.
That sounds a bit more sensible than the Booty by Barney.
So my favorite quote.
We need an answer first.
April.
Nice.
Favorite quote is, I'm going to do the whole thing if I can remember it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates others.
Mic drop.
Have a great fucking day.
Yes. Have a great fucking year.
Well, or don't. I don't care.
Do you, boo?
Done. Happy?
Yes.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.